Hi there. So I just wanted to talk about what I've called the Startiv system, and there probably will be many more iterations of this in the future because whatever I produce, I always try and tweak and improve, maybe to different versions for different niches or whatever. But as it stands, this is the system I've got now. So it's basically split into 9 steps, and it says at the top that the purpose of this is to rethink your entire business offer and sales funnel to accelerate your income growth. And that's really quite an important thing to consider, because most people they choose an offer, they choose a sales funnel, and then they just think, right, that's it now, I'm not going to look at that again, and then they just talk about getting more traffic or more leads to put through the funnel. But it's really good to every now and then to just take a step back and just look at the bigger picture and just see what is possible, because sometimes it's possible to repackage all your skills or the product you offer in a different way to really make it more useful to the other person, or increase the amount of situations where you can sell it, and also add a lot more value to it, and earn more money. So it's good to consider, and that's one of the steps in the model. But ultimately the idea is to accelerate your income growth, because normally most companies, they're either stagnating or going down, or they're going up a little bit, but we want to really grow fast. And for many companies that is possible if they just really rethink from the ground up what they're doing. So what we normally do, so we start off with the bottom left, so it's a bit like snakes and ladders, which I'm sure you've played in the past, except you can't go down, you'll go up. But you start in the bottom left, and you go to the right, and then to the left in the middle row, and then to the right in the top row. So the starting point is to clarity on the present. So you've really got to just examine your present situation. Sometimes people ignore this because it can actually be quite painful just to look and see what's happening at the moment, and it's just maybe nearly not good enough to be sustainable, or so rather than face those emotions, they just sort of push it under the carpet and just focus on some shiny new object. So it's important to just honestly consider where you are now. And then the next step is to visualize the future goal. So this could be in 3 years' time, a year's time. But best to start off with 3 years' time to have some really massive goal where you want to go. And then you can break it down and think, okay, well, if we're going to be there in 3 years' time, where are we going to be in a year's time? And then you can chunk it down to 3 months or a month. So you know that even if you only make slight improvements after a month, you know that that's fine, because you know you're going in the right direction, and you can extrapolate, and you know that after a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll have this massive empire. And it's really good to spend as much time as you can visualizing this goal and making it real. So I know some people do affirmations, which quite often works for them, or you can put it on a bit of paper, or just write it down somewhere, or do something with it but don't just sort of make up a number and then forget about it. And then the third step is to create the roadmap. So you've got where you are now, the future goal, and then as concretely, it's not possible to nail down all the detail, but just have a rough idea of, oh, we do this, then we do that, and then we'll do that, and then we can do this. So have a rough idea of what's going to happen over the coming months and years to achieve this goal. And another way of doing this is to look at what your successful competitors are doing. You can see where they are now. Everything's in place. But they didn't get there overnight. They built it incrementally, step by step, just as you have to do. So what you can do is just look at what they've got and think, oh, well, they probably did in this order, and break it down, reverse engineer it, and just so you can follow their roadmap, if you like, or improve it. to get to your goal. So going over to the middle row, the next step I've put cash flow accounts and tracking, so all the numbers stuff. I'm a chartered accountant, so I'm really into cash flows and accounts, and they are incredibly important because so many businesses actually go bust because they run out of money. They may be profitable, they may be growing, but if you don't have any cash to pay people, then you're going to go bust. So you've got to really keep a handle on your cash flow. That's vital. And same thing with the management accounts. The management accounts can, if they're done properly, they should give you really good information as to how each department or traffic source or whatever generates profit. And you can also look at your time for each department and how much income that generates as well. Because there's normally the 80-20 rule. 80% of your profit is made from 20% of your activity. So as much as possible, you want to focus on that 20% and expand it and get rid of the other 80%. So, and tracking is very important in this. Make sure you have your tracking pixels everywhere. Facebook pixel, Google Analytics pixel, LinkedIn pixel. Should be on all pages on your website. And funnels. So then you know which pages people are looking at, which ads people are clicking on, and so on. And without that tracking, you're really flying blind. But with the tracking, you can really make things a lot more efficient and give people what they want. The next step is your avatar and offers. So, for example, in making this video, I might be, in my mind, I might have a specific avatar. I've spoken to many people about their businesses and their services, and I've got a really good idea, the sort of person that absorbs my content, the sort of person that helps, they're interested in, and I'm speaking to that person. Some people like to even create an imaginary person, get some a picture off the internet or give them a name and flesh out a whole backstory. Or maybe there's a real person you can think of that's interested in your content. So it just helps to imagine you're talking to one person, and then it makes everything on message, and then anyone who's similar to that person will absorb it, and other people won't be interested, but that doesn't matter because you're speaking to your target demographic. Also in there I've put your offers. I've spoken about briefly before, but sometimes people are really unaware of how to package their stuff, but you can often offer your services in a different way, or create different offers, like you have a front-end offer which is really cheap, just so people get to know you and become your customer or client, and then it's often quite easy to upsell a bigger offer after that, after you've got that rapport and trust. So the next step is positioning, branding, and your funnel. Positioning and branding is extremely important. How you brand yourself, how you are perceived. It's so easy nowadays to do a really amazing website that makes... I've been quite surprised myself. I've thought, oh, this website looks like it's a really big company, and it turns out to be a one-man band. But it's so easy to do that now, so you can't go by appearances. But then there's other aspects of branding, like social proof. For example, I was on TV a few times, which really helps with social proof, or if you get testimonials or on your site or things like that, or citations in other websites. The funnel I've put here is actually crucial, because as the sales funnel, it has many different stages. So quite often people start with content, and then you have a cheap offer, then you have which is on a landing page. Sometimes people put an opt-in page where they opt into your email list, and then you can go to you can upsell. Maybe when they buy a cheap offer, you can get a one-time offer to upsell something extra, and then you can at some point you can upsell them bigger offers. Maybe you have a mastermind group or something like that, and you can continually offer them different things at different stages of the funnel, and you have your messaging is different at each stage. So when people don't know you, then that's cold traffic. So you've really got to, it's more about giving them things, giving them free content, so they form a relationship with you and they see your expertise and want to learn more. But higher stages of the funnel, they like you and they're more ready to buy your stuff, buy your services, so you can just be a bit more upfront about your sales and offering them things to buy. But each stage of the funnel you should continually split test, because you might think, oh, this is a good page, sales page, but you don't know unless you split test it with a different one, and then either A or B will win, and the loser you get rid of, you put another one there and split test the new set of pages, and keep on doing that until you will get a page that converts really well. So now we're going up to the top line, which is scaling up. So the next step is content engine. Content is absolutely crucial, and so many businesses ignore this step. You may have noticed, if you've looked at my content, that I like to repurpose it. So what I tend to do is I create a video like this. For example, I talk into my webcam, I speak onto my microphone, I record it into Camtasia, upload it to YouTube. Then I post that onto Facebook, might go onto my website startiv.com, might go onto LinkedIn. So that's 3 different places. Then I can strip out the audio and I can put that onto a podcast. Then I can get that transcribed, and then I have all this text which I can put in my blog, which really, just the more content you have on your website, over time it just really helps it rank a bit, because there's more keywords there for Google to get a handle on what your site is about. And just the more places you have your content, the more people will see it, and the more opportunities there are to enter your funnel. And it's also, especially for a coach or consultant or something like that, where they have a relationship with you, it enables them to really get a feel for you and your personality and your expertise before you asking them to sign a contract or anything like that. Now the next step is paid traffic, and this is where it really gets exciting, because you can really get your content seen by a lot more people. Now the key is, of course, to make sure that you do proper demographic targeting, so you only are paying for traffic to advertise to people who might be interested in it. Facebook has got quite good B2C demographic targeting, but not very good B2B. LinkedIn is excellent B2B demographic targeting. So you can advertise on both of those channels. You can also do Google AdWords, which is quite can be good for some niches. I used to have an online reputation management business, and over the years I actually spent £65,000 on Google AdWords, and it was an extremely lucrative source of leads and traffic for me. So it just depends on the niche and what other people are doing. There's no point doing AdWords if there's lots of other people spending much bigger businesses than you, spending a lot of money on AdWords, and they've got these incredible web pages that you just can't compete with, because you're sort of wasting your money. Because if someone clicks on your ad, they're probably clicking on 3 or 4 other different ads, and they'll just go to the people with better websites. So in that case, it'll be better to go to Facebook, or you could advertise on YouTube or LinkedIn, where people will only see your ad and not the competitors' ads. And there's a big difference, of course, between AdWords or YouTube, where people are searching for something, searching for a phrase, and then your ad shows up, compared to something like social media, LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, where they're not searching for anything, but they just happen to be in the right demographic. So they're a lot cheaper normally per click, and you just have to probably test both to see which works best for your particular niche. If it's something like emergency flood damage repair, then you're better off with AdWords, because that's a very specific request, and someone searches the thread in Google, they need that there and then they might not need it for another 30 years. So there's no point doing that to a demographic. Whereas something that's more general, that a lot of people might want more of the time, then that would be more suitable for social media advertising. So with paid traffic, I think it's quite good to promote your content, and then you can get a real sense of which content they like. You can see if you put £5, advertise each bit of content you do to your demographic, and then you can see which ones get the most likes, shares or comments, and then you know what people are interested in. They can produce more content like that, or work out which hooks you need to progress them up your funnel. And the final step on this is passive income and scaling up. So with passive income, that really means either software as a service, or more usually it means some form of info product. So rather than selling your time for money, if you can encapsulate what you have and put it in some course, just a series of videos and PDFs, and sometimes you can have a hybrid. So you have a pre-recorded course of videos, and then dripped out once a week over 6 weeks, and you can also do a live coaching call, one-to-many, once a week for the 6 weeks as well. And you can charge a premium amount of money for that. If it's good content, if it's a niche that people find useful, you can sometimes charge £500 or £1,000 for that. So it's a great business model, because you only have to do the work once, and then you can sell the course for the rest of your life, basically. And especially if you'll produce lots of different courses and sell them to people at different stages of the funnel, so they buy a cheap course to start off with their more expensive courses. And a lot of people are extremely successful with this and make a lot of money. And it doesn't work for all niches, for all businesses, but a lot of people are leaving money on the table by not considering this. So I'll definitely look into it and just think about if there's a way that you can do this, because that's really where the big money is to be made. There's other ways of scaling up, of course. You could start recruiting people, maybe VAs or outsourcers, and really train them what to do. So if you have your task could be put down into a procedures manual, and someone else can do the easy bits and you just do the difficult bits, or then you can get in other people with expertise to do those bits, and you can grow your business empire that way. Now, you would face problems. Well, there's always problems when you start relying on other people like that, but sometimes it is the only way to grow, and you can grow really fast to make a lot of money that way. So this is not the definitive only 9 steps. There's other things as well. I haven't really mentioned mindset, because mindset can come into any of these stages. You might have a limiting belief. You might think, oh, this might not work, or I can't do it, I'm not clever enough, or it works for other people and not me, or I've tried before and it failed. All these things that just stop you trying. Or maybe it gets you out of a comfort zone, and so just avoid it and procrastinate. So that mindset is a whole general thing that could occur at any stage, but it is something that you totally have to be aware of and label and get out in the open if there are any mindset issues. And that's why it's really good to work with someone like myself, because when you're working with someone else, these mindset issues become obvious a lot more quickly. If you're working on your own, it's very easy to live in denial and pretend that they don't exist. So I can help you progress through this path, and for many people it can really accelerate their growth very fast. And some people maybe you are really good at 6 of these, but not so good at the other 3, well, even that you can make a colossal difference by just focusing on the ones you've been ignoring. Each of these, each one step of this could make a massive difference to you. So, and just because it's not on here, it doesn't mean that it's not something that can be addressed. I don't think I've put messaging on here, for example, and that's very important, about having, not being too salesy or pitchy, but just being yourself basically, and connecting with the other person. So I hope you found this useful, and if you want more information, just get in touch with me and I'll be happy to tell you more about it. That's all for now. Bye.